Alright, I'm going to do my best to try and explain how this all works. And I can't think of a better representative to represent the deep state than the old rat Fink himself. This should probably be best demonstrated with army men and the things that go along with them. But I don't have a whole pile of army men. I have a whole pile of these. And seeing as how in the end it's probably going to play out like a demolition derby, they're completely appropriate. So basically what we have here is a team demolition derby with the deep state team facing off against the Patriots. The Patriots, as hard as it might be for some of you to believe, being the Trump administration. And just like at the demolition derby, and I know this from personal experience, you can't necessarily trust everyone who says they're going to run with you. And you would do best to never take anyone Derby Day at their word. Unless you've known them all of your life and you're willing, quite literally, to put your life and safety in their hands. So now we have to go back in time a little bit because, believe it or not, there are people who actually don't know some of this information. How was Team Deep State built? Well, first of all, you have to understand their general philosophy. They don't have to infect an entire organization. All they have to do is to be able to take control from the upper echelons. And as that agency rolls under their control, they're able to enact their policies and accomplish their agendas. So, how would you accomplish that? Well, you have to have your people in on the judicial, the legislative, the executive branches, and the intelligence. That's the outer circle that protects the rat fink deep state. And then, of course, we have all of the alphabet agencies that are connected to all these other agencies. What all their names are, I don't even know. I'm sure there probably are people out there that do, but I don't. But I know they're out there, and I know what they're there for. So there you have basically the inner workings of Team Deep State. And then, of course, we have to add the wannabes that run with them. Apple, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, and another one just to add in a few randoms that we may not know about. And there you have, for the most part, the whole deep state team. Yeah, we'll put the dinosaur on the deep state side too. And this is basically how it was all built. From the top down. Because the basic deep state philosophy is no one is going to risk their job and the well-being of their family, or in some cases their lives, to try and expose these people because their livelihood depends on the people who run it from the top. In other words, if you step out of line in the deep state team, you're out. And they'll be more than happy to replace you with someone else. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. Within this structure, there are factions that don't agree with what the deep state's been doing. Some of them are involved with management. Some of them are involved with the military. Some of them are involved with the affected agencies themselves. And if you add them all up, they amount in greater numbers than the deep state themselves. Because these people have stepped on a lot of toes along the way to accomplish and build their power structure. Because what we have to bear in mind moving forward is just how arrogant and power hungry that the deep state team really is. And each one of these cars represents a special skill or knowledge against how the deep state actually works. Because they've all had experiences with these people. And they understand what they've been doing and trying to do for a long time. We will call this outer ring the Patriots. And the Patriots, for a long time, have been looking for someone with enough power and balls to take on the deep state. And it just so happens that he finds himself right in the middle of all of this. And his name would be, anyone? Donald J. Trump. So how would you run this derby? What's the best strategy? Just crash everyone together at one time and let the chips fall where they may? Or do you start picking people off strategically? 2-on-1, 3-on-1, so that all of a sudden the CIA isn't necessarily as big of a player as they might have been. And the FBI, and so forth and so on. You have to look at this logically, especially if you consider it to be like a demolition derby, because you can't just go willy-nilly and push your foot to the floor and think you're going to win at the derby. You can't drive like that. You have to use some strategy. It has to be a little tactful. And we will cover that in a future video as we deconstruct this board piece by piece according to what has happened up till now and what should happen in the very recent future. Take care.